What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Blood on the Razor Wire TV, where we bring it to you real and we bring it to you raw. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, share the video. Make sure you leave a comment. I'm sure some people will want to. And hit that notification bell so every time we drop a video, you know it first. Today, we're going to talk about something that's been going on in the news. I wanted to do this video last week, and then I thought, you know what? Maybe I should wait until next week when all the evidence is in. That way I'd have a better perspective on what's going on, what I think is going to happen. So you already know what we're going to talk about, right? I'm going to put that jailhouse lawyer's cap on again, and we're going to go into the courtroom in Wisconsin for the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. What's going to happen? People have sent me emails about it and asked some questions about it. What do I think? Do I think this kid should have went down there? What about his right to bear arms? So we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about how sometimes young mind thinking can cost you your life. How young mind thinking can put you in a position where you might never see the streets again. Is that what I think is going to happen to Kyle Rittenhouse? Not at all. But let me tell you what really kind of motivated me. I seen this meme, or whatever the hell people call this thing, of Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh crying next to a little picture of old Kyle Rittenhouse on the stand. He's crying. And like they compare these dudes for like, who's going to get the best actor award? Let me tell you something. If you've never been through a criminal trial, if you've never been facing the rest of your life in prison, then you might not be able to understand what a person's going through emotionally. And remember, this kid's, he's 18 now. He was 17 at the time of the crime. He's going through an emotional thing, right? And some of you might be thinking, screw him. He killed 3 people. Who cares how he feels? Maybe he should cry. He should go to prison. He should die in there. Oh, I guess everybody's entitled to their own opinion, right? I think it's a sad day whenever someone has to bury their kids. I think that's just a sad, sad day. And I think that when we come out and politicize stuff, I think that's a sad day too. And I'll tell you what else is a sad day. When you get these prosecutors like this guy in this case, I'm going to say he's an idiot. This prosecutor is a real idiot. The government, they have this thing. When I say government, I mean prosecutors. They have this thing that you can never really understand unless you've been there. It's almost like 90% of these people, not all of them, but almost every single one of them, have this thing where they just want to hammer people. They forget that their job is to seek justice, not just convictions. Their job is not to just tack up hides on a wall and say, yeah, we got them. But so many of them seem like they have no compassion, like no humanity. They hate you. They don't even know you, but yet they hate you because you committed a crime. Or you allegedly committed a crime. Prosecutors are just nasty people, man. Might be some prosecutors watching the YouTube channel. They probably hate me. Who does he think he is to say that? Well, I've experienced. I know what it's like to go to trial and be convicted. And everybody from the prosecutor's office shows up. Like this is your graduation. Like this is a big party. They're all down there high-fiving each other. Yeah, we got him. We're going to send him to prison for the rest of his life. We got him. Where's the human decency in that? It's sad, man. It's sad. And let me tell you something else about the criminal justice system and about trials. Sometimes it ain't always about the law. Sometimes it's not always about the facts. The people that win are the people that put on the best show. Is that crazy to say? It's not about the facts. It's not about the law. It's about who puts on the best show. Who do you think put on the best show in the Kyle Rittenhouse case? Oh, in my opinion, I think it was the defense. From everything that I've seen, and I've watched some of this trial, a lot of this trial, I think they put on the best defense. Everything that the government had, the prosecution, the defense rebutted it, right? We're going to look at the charges, and I'm going to tell you what I think is going to happen. Let's see if I'm right. Perhaps by the time you're watching this video, the verdict will already be in. We all know that Kyle Rittenhouse, he shot 3 people, right? Killed 2 of them. Wounded the 3rd. Down there in Kenosha, Wisconsin. And we know what Rittenhouse's defense was. Well, I was acting in self-defense. These people attacked me. Kyle Rittenhouse, 17 years old. He goes down to this little protest, this rally with an AR-15. Do you think he went down there at 17 years old and said, you know what, I'm going to go down here. I'm just going to start shooting people. Hopefully I can kill a couple. If you're thinking that, I think you're wrong. I think you're sadly mistaken. Kyle Rittenhouse went over here with his little medical bag, act like he was an EMT. It's kind of like a weird kid, right? Remember, I used to have a friend when we were kids. He used to act like, remember one incident we were in the hospital. He acted like he had a walkie-talkie and wanted people to look at him, acting like he was a cop. And I'm like, hey, what are you doing? What are you, a goofball? I think Kyle Rittenhouse was that type of kid. Maybe he wants to be a cop or a military dude, sharpshooter. Like, maybe he has a fascination with this stuff. But him going down there with that AR-15, I can guarantee you that he didn't think he was going down there and going to end up in a situation where he had to kill people. I just don't see it. I don't. I'll call it how it is. When people do bullshit, they do wrong things. I don't care what color they are. White, Hispanic, black. Doesn't matter. If you're wrong, you're wrong. If you're right, you're right. That's why I say the channel is real and it's raw. And really, I can tell you this. I think Kyle went down there with that AR-15. That was like his protector. Reminds me of some of the dudes I'd see in prison with tattoos all over their face. Not all of them. But I would see these dudes with tattoos on their face, and I would say, that's like his protection mechanism. I got tattoos all over me, all over my face. I'm a bad motherfucker. You better leave me alone. But really, a lot of them dudes aren't bad motherfuckers. They're just faking at the highest level. I think Kyle had that AR-15 so he could go down there and say, hey, don't mess with me. I got an AR-15. I'm a bad dude. And guess what? Sometimes when you're in these high intensity, high stress situations, people do things that they wouldn't normally do. So let's look at his charges. Do you think the jury will come back and find him guilty of count 1? First degree reckless homicide, use of a dangerous weapon. That was charged for the death of Joseph Rosenbaum, right? Now, if you watch the trial, you know that he's the first guy that Rittenhouse shot. That's because Rosenbaum was chasing Rittenhouse through a parking lot, threw a plastic bag at him. He runs behind a car. Rosenbaum follows him. Kind of got this kid cornered. The kid shoots him, right? Video introduced at trial showed Rittenhouse wheeling around and firing as Rosenbaum chased him. Richie McGinnis, a reporter who was trailing Rittenhouse, testified that Rosenbaum lunged for Rittenhouse's gun. Lunged for his gun. Is there a reasonable likelihood that he was in danger? That he was in imminent danger? Or that his life might be taken? This guy's lunging at him. And earlier, there was some testimony where the guy said, if I catch them alone, I'm going to fucking kill him. He's going to kill him, right? I mean, that's what he said. He corners him, and Rittenhouse shoots him. Kills him, right? Reckless homicide differs from intentional homicide, in that prosecutors aren't alleging Rittenhouse intended to murder Rosenbaum. Instead, they're alleging Rittenhouse caused Rosenbaum's death in circumstances showing an utter disregard for human life. So this dude lunges at him, threatened to kill him already, and he shoots him. Self-defense? I don't know. I don't know what you're thinking, but I think it was self-defense. Former County District Attorney Paul Butcher said prosecutors' decision to charge reckless instead of intentional homicide shows they don't know what happened between Rittenhouse and Rosenbaum and what might have been going through Rittenhouse's mind when he pulled the trigger. Think about that. Why would this prosecutor bring charges like that? You got evidence. Remember, I said his job's not to tack every hide to the wall, right? The Supreme Court used that sentence before when they talk about prosecutors and what their job is, what their job function is. But so many of these people get bent out of shape. They think they're going to save the world. They're fighting crime. Sometimes there's so much national attention on a case that they just glamorize in it and they want to bring a case. Why would this dude bring these types of charges with that type of evidence? Did he even look at the case before he charged them? Did he just glance over it and then charge them and say, we'll figure it out later? Just don't see that charge sticking. The charge is punishable by up to 60 years in prison. The dangerous weapon modifier carries an additional 5 years. Like 60 years ain't good enough, right? Go ahead and throw another 5 on that piece. Prosecutors asked Judge Bruce Schroeder to let the jury also consider a lesser charge, second-degree reckless homicide that does not require a finding that Rittenhouse acted with utter disregard for human life. It's punishable by up to 25 years in prison, but after Rittenhouse's attorneys objected, Schroeder said he did not plan to give that instruction. He said he expected that a guilty verdict on that count would be overturned because the defense objected to adding it. I don't think they ever should have charged him with this charge. I think he beats count 1. Count 2, first-degree reckless endangerment, safety, use of a dangerous weapon. And we're going to talk about jury nullification a little bit, all right? This felony charge is connected to the Rosenbaum shooting. McGinnis told investigators he was in line of fire when Rittenhouse shot Rosenbaum. The charge is punishable by 12.5 years in prison. The weapons modifier carries an additional 5 years. Prosecutors asked Schroeder to let the jury consider a second-degree version of this charge. The difference is that the second-degree version doesn't require a finding that Rittenhouse acted with utter disregard for human life. Schroeder said he was inclined to allow that instruction, though he didn't make a final ruling. The charge is punishable by up to 10 years in prison. Count 3. I don't think count 2 is going to stick either. I think he's good on that. Count 3, first-degree reckless endangering safety, use of a dangerous weapon. Video shows an unknown man leaping at Rittenhouse. This is the kicking dude, right? And trying to kick him seconds before Anthony Huber moves his skateboard toward him. Rittenhouse appears to fire 2 rounds at the man, but apparently misses as the man runs away. This charge is a felony, punishable by 12.5 years in prison. Schroeder said he would decline prosecutors' request that jurors be allowed to consider this charge in the second degree. I think he beats count 3, too. Is this self-defense? Someone does a flying kick at you? And you might think, so what? He's going to kick him so he shoots him? But it's bigger than that. What happens if he kicked him and then grabbed the gun? Do you think in this high-stress situation, he's got a gun? You think they're not going to take the gun from him? It's him against them against him. Of course they're going to take the gun, man. What would you do? First-degree intentional homicide, use of a dangerous weapon. This charge is connected to Huber's death. Video shows Rittenhouse running down the street after shooting Rosenbaum when he falls to the street. Huber leaps at him and swings a skateboard at his head and neck and tries to grab Rittenhouse's gun. Hold on. There it is. Tries to grab Rittenhouse's gun before Rittenhouse fires. The criminal complaint alleges Rittenhouse aimed the weapon at Huber. Yeah, I'd probably aim the weapon at him as well. Wouldn't you? What happens if you hit him in the head with the skateboard? Think that was it? It's just a skateboard. It's bigger than just a skateboard. This count carries a mandatory life sentence. The weapons modifier would add up to 5 years. So we want to give you life plus 5 years for that one. It's not going to stick. In my opinion, it's not going to stick. Jailhouse lawyer, my opinion, no. But you know, there's so much attention on this case, right? There's so many people that are going to be pissed off. They got the National Guard lined up, ready to come in, waiting on the verdict. But this is because of what the media does. It's what the media does. The first-degree reckless homicide charge sought in Huber's death matches an original charge in Rosenbaum's death. It would require jurors to decide that Rittenhouse caused Huber's death with an utter disregard for human life. I mean, when people are cornering you, swinging skateboards at you, and you shoot them, is it in utter disregard for human life? Or are you protecting yourself? Are you trying to make sure that these cats can't do nothing for you? Or do nothing to you? That's the point here, right? The point is, this kid's an idiot for going down there with a gun. 17 years old, man. You should probably have your ass in the house. You shouldn't be down here at a protest. You shouldn't be down there with an AR-15. I respect your right to bear arms. I respect your right to protest. But at 17 years old, if I was dad, his ass be in the house. What about you? Are you a dad watching this video right now? Would you let your son out? Would you let him leave with an AR-15? I definitely wouldn't. Some people make bad choices, irrational, irresponsible choices that could forever change their lives. This kid's facing the rest of his life in prison. Count 5, attempt at first-degree intentional homicide, use of a dangerous weapon. Check this one out. You tell me if this is self-defense, and you tell me about prosecutors. When I read this, you tell me about prosecutors. You tell me about this prosecutor who I think's an idiot. Tries to slide things into the trial after the judge tells him he can't do it. He tries to do it anyway. And this is what I'm talking about when they get nasty, cold, no compassion. uneducated. Yeah, you went to school, but it seems like you don't have no common sense, man. Common sense right here tells you this charge should never have been charged. This is the charge for Rittenhouse shooting Gage Groskowitz in the arm seconds after he shot Huber, and as Groskowitz came toward him holding a pistol. What are you going to do? Groskowitz coming towards you holding a pistol. He testifies. The lawyer asks him. The defense attorney says, hey, you pointed a pistol at my client's head, right? Yeah. And then he pointed his gun at you and shot you, right? Yeah. Why would they even charge this charge? This makes their case look worse. This makes the prosecution's case look worse. They're overreaching. Your witness, your guy that got shot. He says, well, yeah, he shot me. But that was after I pointed a gun at his head. What would you do? Do you think he was in imminent danger? Do you think there was a reasonable probability that he could believe that his life was at risk? I don't know. Someone points a gun at your head, you tell me. Let me see. In the arm, seconds after he shot Huber, and as Groskowitz came toward him holding a pistol, Groskowitz survived. Video shows Rittenhouse pointing his gun at Groskowitz and firing a single round. The charge carries a maximum sentence of 60 years. The weapon modifier would add up to 5. 65 years, because some dude pointed a pistol at your head and you thought, hey, this cat has the ability to kill me. He might kill me. Not only is he going to beat that charge, or he should beat that charge based on the evidence, the prosecutor should have never charged it. It hurt the prosecution's case. It hurt their show. They weren't putting on the best show. Everything that the government threw at the defense rebutted it strongly. Strongly. This isn't a bullshit case where you're guilty and you just go to trial because, hey, they're offering me 50 years, so I might as well go to trial anyway. I'm going to lose anyway. Prosecutors asked that the jury be allowed to consider lesser counts in the Groskowitz shooting, second-degree attempted intentional homicide, first-degree reckless endangerment, and second-degree reckless endangerment. Defense attorneys didn't oppose the first, but did oppose adding the reckless endangerment counts. Schroeder didn't rule, but said he was inclined to side with the prosecutors. The possible punishment for attempted second-degree intentional homicide is 30 years. I think he beats that. 100%. Dude pointed a gun at his head. He shouldn't even be charged with count. That should not even be count 5. That shouldn't even be in the indictment. Absolutely ridiculous. Count 6, possession of a dangerous weapon. And we're going to talk about prosecutors and why they charge lesser offenses or why they want those jury instructions. You know why? Because they don't have confidence in their case. Probably because, like I said, it's all over the national news. We're going to charge this guy. We're going to smash him. Because when I first seen this dude in the street with a gun, I seen the clips. I said, he killed a couple. This dude's done. He killed some people. Look at this idiot. He's a dummy. And you know what? That's what happens when you judge a book by its cover and don't wait to read the contents. That's what the prosecutor did here. Definitely in count 5 he did that, right? Possession of a dangerous weapon by a person under 18. Well, no way around the fact that Rittenhouse was 17, right? No way around the fact that he had an AR-15. Is that a dangerous weapon? Rittenhouse was armed with an AR-style semi-automatic rifle. He was 17 years old on the night of the shootings. Wisconsin law prohibits minors from possessing firearms except for hunting. It was not clear on Friday what Schroeder intends to tell jurors about that charge. That's the charge they're going to convict him on right there. They think it's a win-win. Got to convict him of something. This is all over the news. There'll be riots in the street if we don't. I think jurors think that nowadays. I think that, sometimes they make decisions and render verdicts not based on the law and facts of the case, but on what the backlash might be if they don't, what people will think about them. Failure to comply with an emergency order from state or local government. Rittenhouse was charged with being out on the streets after an 8 p.m. curfew imposed by the city, a minor offense that carries a fine of up to $200. Are you kidding me, man? Why are you even charging this bullshit? You got a felony case with murder. People are dead, and you want to bring this, huh? Judge Bruce Schroeder dismissed the charge during the second week of trial after defense argued that prosecutors hadn't offered enough evidence to prove it. Just a waste of time. You got a serious case and you're bringing this bullshit. Get out of here. Throw it in the trash can. Do I think Rittenhouse is going to be convicted of something? I do. I really do. But I'm going to tell you a little fable, right? And this fable is about a young fool and a wise man. I want you to think about it. Think about the significance, right? Maybe his defense team should do something like this. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I want to tell you a story about a young fool and a wise man. This young fool thought he was going to out-trick the wise man. So he said he was going to catch a bird, hold it in his hands. He was going to ask the wise man if the bird was alive or dead. If the wise man said that the bird was alive, the young fool would crush the bird, open his hands and say, "Wise man, you're wrong." If he said that the bird was dead, he was going to open his hands and let the bird fly away. Tell the wise man, "You're wrong. You're not so wise." So that's exactly what the young fool did. He caught a bird. He went to the wise man. He said, "Wise man, what's in my hands?" And he chuckled. And the wise man said, "Well, young fool, you have a bird in your hands." And the young fool said, "Wise man, is that bird alive or dead?" And now it was the wise man's turn to chuckle. He said, "Young fool, that bird's fate is in your hands." And he walked away. Kyle Rittenhouse is that bird. His fate is in that jury's hands. Whether he lives or dies, it's up to them. Remember that video yesterday, Dead Men Walking? This kid could literally be a dead man walking. Not based on the facts of the case, but rather based on emotions or what other people might think if the jury doesn't convict him. That's where he's at. My thoughts are that he's going to be acquitted of most of this stuff. Maybe they find him guilty of something just so that they can say they did it. Just so there's not riots in the street. I think he's definitely guilty of that one charge, right? 17-year-old with a gun, dangerous weapon, under 18. Maybe they find him guilty of something else. One of them charges that carry, 12 and a half? What was that, count 3? I think it was count 3, right? Video shows an unknown man leaping at Rittenhouse and trying to kick him seconds before Anthony Hoover moves his skateboard toward him. Sometimes juries do crazy things. What do you think? What are you thinking right now? There's people on all sides here. And that's the problem, man. We politicize everything. That's the problem with our country. That's why we're destroying each other. You know, they're letting us do it. And they're sitting back laughing at us. We're fighting each other. Never forget, together we'll conquer as one will fail. That's important. And here's the moral of the story today, right? It's not about whether Kyle Rittenhouse is going to be found guilty or not guilty, or of what charges, or this charge or that charge. It's about making decisions, man, when you're a young man. Some people are going to get pissed off. Well, he has a right to be there. He's got the right to bear arms. He didn't have to shoot him. Well, when you look at the whole case, yeah, he probably did have to shoot him. This guy's pointing an AR-15 at you, and the dude runs at him. High-stress situation. He's not thinking logically. When Rittenhouse went down there with that AK, you thought that was his protector. That AR-15, that was his protector. They're not going to mess with me. They see the gun. Well, some people don't give a shit about the gun. You know, I talk about some of that stuff in my book. I've seen the cops shooting from gun towers, and dudes continue to stab people. Remember Ace, Warren Back? Big Sandy? They were shooting at him. Shot warning shots. He kept stabbing the dude. They shot him in the back, blew his guts out of his stomach, and he laid there to die. Some people are not deterred. Some people are so mentally bent on doing whatever they want to do that even an AR-15 doesn't scare them. So if he was charging at this kid, threw a plastic bag at him. What was in the plastic bag? What did he think was in the plastic bag? When he was cornered, what did he think? Did he think that this dude would, well, who was it, Rosenbaum, could overpower him and take the gun from him? If he did overpower him, do you think he would have taken the gun from him? 100% he's taken the gun from him. Would he have shot him? I'm going to say yes, he would have shot him. Because now he was hyped up. He was in the moment. His young mind, he wouldn't have been thinking about what the consequences were. Everybody has an excuse. Their excuses don't work, though. When they get to trial, a lot of times those excuses don't work. I don't think Kyle Rittenhouse, I don't think his case is a case of excuses. I think it's a case of he went down there, did some dumb shit, right? Should have just stayed his ass at home at 17 years old. And some things got out of control. Things that he never would have imagined in his young mind. They happened. Who the hell in their young mind would think that if you pointed an AR-15 at someone that they would continue to charge you? You would think they'd turn around and go the other way, right? That's what the average person would do. He didn't contemplate that. Did he act in self-defense? You decide. The jury's going to decide. I think maybe they bang him with one of them good charges. I hope not. Because it's not based on the law. It's not based on the facts. And this isn't a race thing. Like I said, when you're right, you're right. When you're wrong, you're wrong. Remember Eric Garner got choked by the cops and killed? Was selling Lucy cigarettes in New York and Long Island, and they killed him? 100% wrong. When you're wrong, you're wrong. I don't care what color you are. When you're wrong, you're wrong. When you're right, you're right. Until tomorrow, Blood on the Razor Wire TV. With respect, we're out.